keep you up to date. News Talk KVNU, 102 FM, 610 AM. Also on the new KVNU mobile app.
KVNU News Time is 5:05. I'm Bill Walter with this news update. Brought to you by Northern Steel Buildings. During the monthly KVNU County Hour with Cache County Executive David Zook on Wednesday, he said he's excited that there will be another county-sponsored Ignite the Light Suicide Awareness Night on August 22nd.
I really want to thank the radio group for being a sponsor, for supporting, helping us get the word out about the concert. But it is coming up again. We are having an event again, and it's going to be a great concert with Alex Boyer.
Yeah.
And he does such a great job. He is the consummate entertainer. He connects with the crowd. His music, his dancing. He actually comes with the whole show in addition to the music.
When it comes to suicide, Zook said that he had no idea when he first took office how serious of an issue it is, not only in the community, but throughout the Intermountain West and nationally.
One of the things that I learned from the many experts I've talked to about this, and I'm not an expert on this, I'm not a mental health professional, but something I have learned from some of those mental health professionals is that when you can connect people to resources, they'll have a better outcome.
Sure.
And that's the goal of this event, is to help people get connected to resources.
Ignite the Light begins at 5 p.m. on the 22nd at the Cache County Fairgrounds. It's a free public event. Attendees can visit the community resource booths, and food trucks will be there. And then at 7 p.m., Boyer will take to the stage. You can get more information at cachecounty.org/ignite the light. Don't forget, Saturday night, it's the Family Place Here's to 40 Years benefit concert featuring local performer Kennedy Dodds, who is also a finalist on America's Got Talent. Saturday night, 7 o'clock at Green Canyon High School Auditorium. You can get tickets for just $10 adults, $5 for children 12 and under. TheFamilyPlaceUtah.org has more on that. A pilot landed his aircraft in a field around 5 miles from the Ogden-Hinckley Airport after experiencing engine trouble on Thursday, according to the Weber County Sheriff's Office. Lieutenant Mark Horton said the pilot indicated that he had some type of engine problem. He was able to contact the Ogden Tower and advise of his situation and give a pretty good location of where he was going to be. The pilot made an emergency landing in the Ogden Bay Waterfowl Management Area, coming to a stop next to a dirt road just west of the Weber River. First responders found the plane and the uninjured pilot with the help of a drone. Horton says he's extremely lucky. It's a remarkable situation that he was able to walk away uninjured. Officials said that there was no apparent damage to the plane either. Energy Department Secretary Jennifer Granholm says research at the department's Eastern Idaho nuclear facility is key to boosting nuclear energy to meet President Biden's goals of 100% clean electricity by 2035 and net zero emissions by 2050. Granholm on Wednesday toured the 890-square-mile site that includes the Idaho National Laboratory, the nation's leading nuclear energy research lab. She says increasing nuclear power could help reduce greenhouse gas emissions blamed for global warming and extreme weather events such as floods and wildfires. Nuclear power provides about 20% of the nation's power and 50% of the nation's zero carbon-emitting energy. KBNU weather brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. They have the items you're looking for that you use every day and hard-to-find items as well in stock at your 5 locally owned Preston to Providence Napa Auto Parts stores. Showers and thunderstorms likely this evening, then rain showers and a chance of thunderstorms after midnight, low in the upper 50s, and then showers and a chance of thunder in the morning and also in the afternoon. Tomorrow, 80% chance of rain. Cooler, high temperature in the mid-70s. Sunny to partly cloudy, drier, warmer on Sunday, mid-80s for the high. You can always get more news at CacheValleyDaily.com.
A building is just a building until it's your building.
It's where you work, where you create, where you store your valuable equipment. You take pride in your building, so make sure it's built right and built to last. Northern Steel Buildings will guide you from concept to construction. For your commercial, agricultural, or industrial steel building, visit northernsteelbuilding.com to see their quality work or call 435-677-7300. Northern Steel Buildings. Value from concept to construction.
Breaking news and stimulating talk. KVNU 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
Monday, August 22nd, come help ignite the light with Alex Boyer as he performs a free concert at the Cache County Fairgrounds, bringing positive support to suicide prevention. Suicide affects all walks of life, backgrounds, and age demographics. Join Alex Boyer Monday, August 22nd for a free concert bringing attention to suicide prevention and a new national suicide and crisis lifeline, 988. If you think you may need help or just want to talk with someone, call 988. Donations of any size are accepted and welcome to help make this event possible. Go to CacheValleyIgniteTheLight.com for concert details and donation information. The outpouring of support for this event last year was unbelievable. Business and individual donations are vital for the 2022 event. Join Alex Boyer at the Cache County Fairgrounds Monday, August 22nd for a free concert bringing attention and positive support to suicide prevention. Donations of any size are accepted and welcome. Go to CacheValleyIgniteTheLight.com for concert details and donation information. That's CacheValleyIgniteTheLight.com. And thank you for making this event possible.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People, hour 2 of today's show. Beautiful Friday afternoon. It is summertime, which it never, ever gets old, ever. Enjoy it out there. Raspberry Day is going on. Had a chance to go over and check that out myself. It is crowded, but in a fun way. And I was over there when it was hot yesterday. It's probably a little cooler today, so if you can, great day to go check that out. It's also a big camping weekend, so before we get into the movies here on the movie show, just a reminder for everyone headed out into the hills that the Utah Department of Wildlife Resources, you can read the full press release and additional details at CacheValleyDaily.com, but the important to know part, an official target shooting ban throughout the state. The reason for this is that, like I said in hour 1, you don't have to be a wildfire expert, a trained firefighter, anything to see why they would do this. You look around, there's a lot of fuel, a lot of tall grass, especially as you get further up into the canyon, some areas. But even at the mouths of, specifically mentioned by Lieutenant David Beveridge, when I spoke with him earlier today from DWR about this, he mentioned specifically some of the concern they had over the mouths of Providence and Millville Canyon, where they know target shooting is popular, and just too much potential for a wildfire from an errant spark. So target shooting in wildlife management areas, which is basically everywhere that people like to target shoot, including some spots up in the canyons, off limits. Patrols are actually going to be aggressive, Lieutenant Beveridge told us, because they're taking this very seriously. There's a lot of concern with the heat, the wind. Some lightning might throw some mix into this as well and have firefighters busy elsewhere today and tomorrow, or in the ensuing wildfire that the lightning sparks. Fingers crossed that isn't the case. But there's a lot of concern and a lot of worry about resources as well as we head into the dog days of August. So again, CacheValleyDaily.com, you can read the details on that. But an official target shooting ban statewide, but in the press release today, specifically here in northern Utah, mentioning Box Elder and Cache counties for wildlife management areas, all of them. My understanding, again, this wasn't planned, but it does conveniently coincide with a big open house happening Saturday at the Logan Gun Range, which is out there on Valley View Highway, just up the street from us here, just past the Sheriff's Complex. It's the only thing on the right-hand side of the road if you're headed out of town. So if you don't know where it is, you can't miss it. So it is, they're having a big open house tomorrow, day-long event, events for everyone, for the family and more. free entry, and there's only a few things that you will actually pay for. They require some additional setup, like the shotgun range. Everything else open to the public. And so if you were hoping to do some target shooting this weekend, don't do it outside. Risk is too high of a wildfire. Go to the gun range. Big open house tomorrow. And they're also open other times outside the open house, too. So not Sundays. It is, like I said, the potential $5,000 fine is a pretty big deal. I don't know anybody that would just gladly toss $1,000 out the window to go target shooting in a place and at a time that you shouldn't. But that's basically what you'd be doing in these wildlife management areas at the mouths of the canyons, including, again, Millville and Providence Canyon. But I think worse than that, really, I just keep going back to this, that guy. I say that poor guy, but it does sound like he was pretty negligent and deserved the attention. But imagine his life now. Everyone knows what you look like. Everyone knows your name around the state. Everyone knows that you caused, your own town to be evacuated 3 times over as this fire burned back and forth. Hundreds of thousands of acres, firefighters' lives at risk. The cost to the state nearly $750,000 just to the state. That doesn't include what the federal government was putting in and they pay the majority of the tab on firefighting disaster or any disaster in Utah once an emergency is declared, which it was in that case. But just imagine being that person, imagine everyone knowing that you ignored the warnings, went and did it anyway, and now everybody has to sleep at a nearby gym or steakhouse for a few days while their house potentially burns down, and everyone knows it was you. To me, that's the far more impactful incentive to not go out and target shoot this weekend or do any of the things that could potentially cause a wildfire. With those things in mind, again, we are under restrictions as far as campfires and more. I did actually notice on a recent little jaunt with the dogs that I'm guessing some kids probably started a little campfire in an area just a little bit up some of the trails in Logan Canyon. And the first when I saw it, I'm like, man, it was probably dark. You didn't know what you're starting that fire next to, but wow, were you lucky to not have set this whole canyon ablaze. But yeah, just don't. Yeah, I know it's inconvenient. I know it takes some of the fun out of it. I know camping without a campfire is just there's something missing the whole time. I get it, but again, the potential loss of life, limb, and property, the potential fines if you did something negligent and you're caught, and then honestly, I think the greater incentive, one more time, just having your name and face plastered on media homepages throughout the state for sparking a large wildfire that has firefighters busy for weeks and months, putting their lives at risk, evacuations in your hometown, and everyone knows it's your fault. Yeah, not worth it. Absolutely not worth it. So take it seriously. Be careful. And I will say this, in all the years that I've been here at KVNU, I have never seen statements, press releases from DWR and other agencies, including the Utah Forester earlier this summer, that have been more, I wouldn't say panicked. I wouldn't use the word panicked, but something close to that. Something close to, because you remember when these press releases go out, they're talking to us, the media, here at the radio group, wanting us to get word out on this. That's the point of the press release. And they're trying to stress to us, this is no joke. Like, it is, we are a state full of kindling right now, just waiting for a spark. And once it goes, it could just keep going. And so, yeah, there's a lot of concern out there. So be careful. Think about it. Don't spark things. Don't drop hot things. Don't park your car over tall grass. All things that have started wildfires here in Utah over the last couple of years. All right, on the other side, we'll finally get to the movies. Andy Morgan joining us for the For the People movie show. We'll be talking Brad Pitt's Bullet Train, something called Super Pets, something called Easter Sunday, and something called Vengeance. I know nothing about any of these, but they are playing here in Logan. We'll talk about them right after this.
Believe it or not, a high-quality furnace air filter will reduce the amount of dust and pollen carelessly floating around in your home. John at the Duct Hunter says always buy a higher quality air filter. If you can see through a filter, you probably should pass on it. If you're not sure about which furnace air filter to buy, give John a call. He only carries the highest quality, which will reduce the dust and pollen in your home. For a free consultation, call the Duct Hunter at 770-4813.
We are the Duct Hunter. Breathe better, save money, protect your home. We are the Duct Hunter.
This is Detective Johnson from the Logan City Police Department. Scams in our community are on the rise and innocent victims are losing thousands of dollars. These scams are coming in the form of phony phone calls claiming to be from government organizations or legitimate businesses. They are also circulating on social media and emails. Almost all of these scams are asking for payment through gift cards that are almost impossible to track. No legitimate business or organization uses gift cards as currency. If you receive a scam of this nature, do not give the scammers any information and immediately call police. Remember, pause, stop, call a cop.
Wow. That's what in radio Andy is known as a hard start when the music doesn't fire.
You could play I Wear My Sunglasses at Night, the Jean Jacket remix.
That was
which you now know what that is.
That exists.
It is.
That was well, actually, it was.
Who listens to that? Like out of pleasure.
The Jean Jacket remix.
Yeah, you remember? So for listeners who don't know this, right?
It almost the music almost then fired. I was able to stop it. It wasn't actually music. It was a clip from Bullet Train trailer.
Yeah,
we'll get to it.
Well, I was going to say
a little funny part
for
anyway.
Folks that don't know this. You know, we talked about Nope, not this past Friday, but the previous Friday. But then after that, you and I and our former radio colleague Jessica Dunyan, or a serial. Never mind. Anyway, we went and saw Get Out. Or Get Out.
We saw
you know what? Could you just turn my mic off? I'm going to leave.
You want to just start over?
Hi, everybody.
Some days
welcome
are like
back.
that.
Yeah, my brain is fried. No, and we went and saw Nope,
and we liked it.
We did,
and it was.
And these guys, it was so funny. They sit down, and Jason says, "Oh man, I better put my phone away. The movie guy's here."
I think I called you Movie Boy.
Movie Boy is here.
I really want someone to actually say that to you in a thing.
You should go back and read the archives of the Herald Journal comments. Nobody cares what you think about politics, Movie Boy. You're right. So like,
sometimes it's hard to separate the two because there are political movies. And
I know, and all I was talking about was
about
All the President's Men. I mean, you know,
which is a pretty political movie.
No, I'm kidding. We do. You know, so I have some stuff for you.
Okay.
I want to kind of circle back to Nope because Nope. I've talked to a lot of people that like Jordan Peele movies and they didn't like it. And
really?
And I think we should talk about that.
I kind of thought this was his most accessible, like most mainstream.
There's so much, and I want to talk about the remarketing campaign that they're doing right now, which is interesting.
For Nope?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Then the other thing I want to talk about is I do want to talk about two movies that are coming out today. One is Bullet Train. The other is called Prey. It's on Hulu, and it's a Predator sequel. And I can't believe what I'm going to say about that.
It looks cool.
Well,
honestly,
Predator movies.
I'm not too proud to.
You know what? Actually, the only thing that was sad about that movie, about Prey, because it's a Predator movie set in like the 1700s. You know, before the really like the settling of America, and no one ever says "get to the chopper." But one guy did say, "Get to the horsey."
Really?
No, he didn't. I made all of that up. No, it's actually, there's some interesting things I have to say about that. Bullet Train, to give a little teaser before we pull this train back to Nope. Bullet Train, weirdly, I thought the trailer looked cool, but I wasn't like completely sold. It just looked like a slot machine. Like if a movie took slot machine form, that was Bullet Train.
That was,
but it's
and it did. The trailer makes it look a little cookie cutter.
It does, and
that was my reaction.
Here's what I'll say: two little I don't know what are teasers. I'll tell you two teasers. One is I cannot believe that it is not fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh,
and this is one where the audience have a hard disagree with critics. and I do too.
Interesting.
Snooty fellows. I honestly, it's up there with Top Gun with probably the best movie of the summer for me. Mm-hmm.
So where are we at on your best movies? You got Top Gun, Maverick, Nope, and Elvis, right?
Elvis just got bumped to like probably 3.
Okay.
I would say Top Gun, Bullet Train are tied. I think Nope is a solid 2 with a toe into number 1. Thor is up there in number 2, 3 range, right?
Very good.
It's doing the Jean-Claude Van Damme splits between 2 and 3. And then Elvis is like a hard 3 or 4, and then everything else is just cluttered at the bottom, like discarded
Big
Legos.
Jumble of if you're bored.
Big jumble of like, don't step on that.
Do you have anything before we really get into this Nope discussion about this? I'm curious, rebranding or remarketing.
Yeah.
Campaign. So, do you have a list from the streaming services? Do you keep a separate streaming service list? You mix them all in.
So
okay.
This is going to sound super technical, but I think I have a small case of OCD. If it has an MPAA rating, G, PGR, NC-17, PG-13, almost forgot that, which we need to talk about that. I that's a movie, whether it's released in theaters or not. That is a movie that is released to the public. That it's a motion picture, right? I'm not saying if like a movie's not rated or anything like that, but like that's in the Utah Film Critics Society, when we put movies up for awards, if it's rated by the MPAA, then I think we generally take it.
But if it's like The Gray Man, for example, which I know you really like,
which has a rating,
that that did have an official MPAA.
And what they do sometimes is they say limited release in theaters.
Yeah.
And streaming on, and so I don't know where it plays in theaters. I haven't seen it, but
it could just be one, right? Because that's limited.
Well, that's this is what they do at the end of the year for Oscar bait, is what people call it. So what happens is you'll have a movie. We'll just
3 billboards. They did that.
Yeah,
with that.
So 3 billboards. It'll say in theaters December 10th, right? And then you look and it's super limited. It's like New York, LA, Chicago.
Yeah.
And then they say, and then it's wide release in January. And sometimes they'll even hold off on that and try to wait for if there's Oscar, Yeah,
I think the 3 billboards was in theaters longer after the Oscar nomination. Well, maybe it was after the Oscars.
The thing that is interesting, I would like to do this study. I would like to get a handful of moviegoers, let's say, 20 people, maybe less, 10 people, and I would like to show them, maybe not the best picture winner, but like a handful of Oscar movies for like maybe the last 5 years, right? Yeah. Movies that they've never seen that are Oscar movies. And what I'd really like to pick out is I'd like to pick a group of people who say, oh man, Hollywood doesn't have any good ideas. They don't. It's all the same superhero, And I want to say there's a lot of movies out there you're missing.
Yeah,
because I get it. Not everybody has the time to go online and say, well, what did I miss? But I do. There are movies out there. I mean, we talked about this in 2019. I think it was. There was 900 movies that were released. Yeah. Here's another thought. I was thinking about this from a business perspective. You and I talked about this a couple of years ago, I think, before COVID. We talked about how every weekend in the summer, and now it used to be in the summer, and now it's just every weekend year round.
Yeah.
There's something hitting almost every weekend, right?
Yeah.
That is hyped up and,
It's either, and then you throw in the stream, like, I notice I go through cycles. I go through cycles where I'm going to the theater a lot, and then there's another cycle where I'm spending a lot of time with Netflix or when Obi-Wan came out. Yeah. I've spent quite a bit of time with Disney Plus after that.
Yeah,
catching up. I finally finished Boba Fett.
Well, and going back to that, so what I'm saying is I don't know. I know Hollywood would love to always have 3 or 4 or 5 movies every year that just blow it out of the park, right? They just knock it out of the park. Like I think of like year like 2015, right, when it was Star Wars: The Force Awakens, and you had Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, and you had a bunch of movies that just you had Then you get into like the 2017, 18, 19, and you're having Infinity War and Black Panther and Last Jedi. In fact, I think that was the biggest box office year ever.
Infinity War that year was insane. I had to schedule movie time.
Yeah.
Because there was that much I wanted to see, and I wanted to see it in theaters. Because wasn't there also a Spider-Man that year? And yeah, there
was a lot. And so and that's when they're getting up in like the $11-12 billion domestic, and that's not even including worldwide.
Yeah,
where they it's even bigger in some areas. But I think what they're noticing is that, and I don't know if it's just fatigue in terms of like maybe some of the Marvel fatigue, because Top Gun, is making a ton of money. It'll probably be in the top 5 if it's not already highest grossing domestic releases of all time. But the interesting thing about Top Gun, again, it's not a franchise. The first movie was a long time ago. And so these other movies like Doctor Strange and Thor, which are part of the Marvel Universe, they make it money, enough to, pay the budget and everything and make the studio money, but they're not, blowing things out of the water. And so what's interesting, again, is going back is I think that's why Hollywood has taken this 900 movies thing a year, right? Is if it takes, if you can... Maybe there are movies like The Gray Man and others that are expensive to make.
Yeah.
But if you have a bunch of other movies that are not so expensive to make and you just shoot everything at the wall, you're going to have some luck. Some things are going to stick, like Top Gun, right? Yeah. But otherwise, you're just going to make a ton of money just because you released so much, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a bad thing because, if we even want to get total, super economical, that's jobs for people.
Yeah.
Not just actors. But gaffers and lighters and wardrobe and makeup, like everything. That's jobs.
The average movie is, even a low budget one, is 250 people.
Yeah.
I read. And that includes, the marketing people and and all that.
But it keeps
that's a lot of people.
Keeps movie theaters in business. It gives your teenagers jobs.
Yeah.
Makes everyone else mad because, you take your phone to the movie and we want to punch you in the face.
I was because we don't, we don't as a group get out to movies often, and I've been waiting for this opportunity. But if it hadn't been crowded, I really wanted to pull my phone out and not just read a text, but reply just to see if you punch me.
I think it'd been funnier if you'd have just taken your phone up to your face and said, "Hey Siri," and then here she comes. She's going to turn on.
Oh, mine does that occasionally, but. Before we go to the news, I speaking of movies employing a lot of people, I'm guessing this one didn't. But have you seen the promotion, quote unquote, for this movie coming out August 12th called Fall? It has a radio tie. That's how it came my way.
You did, and it also I think their big sell point is from the I think it's funny that we're in the day and age of from the producers.
Yeah,
and they're like, oh, those guys from the producers of 47 meters down, and everyone's like, oh, 47 meters down, and they're like. Unchained in a cage, like it's like the seventh 47
producer's brother-in-law's neighbor.
It does. That movie gave me anxiety watching the trailer. Did you watch the trailer?
Yeah, the trailer is why. So the radio tie-in here for listeners is it involves a radio tower, which we have some right outside the building here. You see the little flashing red lights at night. That's us. So this is the whole synopsis description.
Isn't this one like a mile up?
Yeah, it's huge.
Is that a real thing?
I don't.
Can you fact check that?
I don't think they. Well, maybe, but I don't. Ours doesn't. I know.
And then the ladder, the stairs fall out.
I don't. Yeah. Well, and that's so. This is the description of the movie. I mean, what a pitch! Best friends Becky and Hunter find themselves at the top of a 2,000-foot radio tower. That's it.
And in the trailer,
that's the synopsis.
The trailer looks like she was like climbing with her boyfriend. And then a bird, of all things, is like out of the little handhold.
I mean,
and then he
as is bound to happen.
Yeah, it's bound to happen very often. And so he plunges, and then I can tell you the plot. And then it's I never can climb again, right?
Yeah.
And then her really annoying friend that we hate at the first of the movie is like, you can climb again. And then we're like, hey, stop pushing her. And then her friend's like, you got to do this tower with me. And the friend's like, okay, fine, I'll give in. And then they get up there. And then the one friend who we think is the selfish jerk actually ends up like sacrificing herself for the other girl. And who finally finds the courage
Well, there's
to
also,
climb down.
There's also, for characterization purposes, thanks to the producer of the brother-in-law's producer of 47 Meters Down, there's some characterization that you get in the trailer, which I assume is probably all that's in the movie too, in that she had a previous incident where she was climbing with her boyfriend,
right,
and he falls to his death.
Yeah,
so she's already
that's the bird. The bird. Was
so
like,
why she's climbing a radio tower is an absolute mystery.
You know what would actually be cooler is if they somehow incorporated 47 Meters Down, where
just
it was
throw a shark in.
There was just some flying sharks. Like they got to the top of the tower, and not only did the ladder break, but they discovered there's a thing called flying sharks.
Hey, which is a nice segue back into Nope on the other side of the news. And that's not a spoiler, everyone. That is absolutely not a spoiler, but kinda.
Flying sharks.
Good. We're going to talk about Nope again. As Andy said, there's this weird, and we're going to try and figure it out, the reasoning behind it. This weird remarketing campaign for Nope is launched this week. And also some of the weird reaction from critics and audiences on Bullet Train hitting theaters here in Logan, starring Brad Pitt this week. All of that coming up after these headlines with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News brought to you by Logan Extermination. A 23-year-old North Logan man has been arrested for allegedly trying to strangle a woman several times, according to law enforcement. Caden Odasua was booked Thursday into the Cache County Jail after police were called to a reported domestic dispute. Odasua was arraigned Friday morning during a virtual hearing in First District Court. He was charged with aggravated kidnapping, a first-degree felony, obstructing justice, a second-degree felony, aggravated assault, and 2 misdemeanors. Cache County Deputy Attorney Dane Murray said Odasua is believed to have assaulted the alleged victim on multiple occasions. She had injuries consistent with signs of strangulation and had to be treated at the hospital. Officers with the Logan City Police Department also reported that Odasua allegedly tried to prevent the alleged victim from calling 911. Odasua did not speak during the hearing, except to briefly request a public defender. Murray asked the court to hold Odasua in jail without bail. He said the suspect posed a danger to the community. Judge Spencer Walsh ordered Odasua to remain in jail while attorneys review evidence in the case. He ordered him to appear again in court Wednesday. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints released a statement Friday regarding a recent Associated Press story, saying the report seriously mischaracterized the purpose of a helpline set up to assist local leaders when dealing with members who confess to abuse. In their report published Thursday, AP reporter Michael Resendes said the news organization obtained nearly 12,000 pages of sealed records from a child sex abuse lawsuit. The AP said the records involved an Arizona bishop who learned about abuse during a confession from a member. The report spoke about a helpline set up through the church with Salt Lake City law firm Curtin McConkie. In their report, the AP said the helpline has been criticized by abuse victims and their attorneys for being inadequate to quickly stop abuse and protect victims. Yet the Utah-based Faith has stuck by the system despite the criticism and increasing scrutiny from attorneys and prosecutors. Today's statement said the church's helpline is instrumental in ensuring that all legal requirements for reporting are met. The church, the statement read, dedicates tremendous resources and efforts to prevent, report, and address abuse. And the statement further stated the abuse of a child or any other individual is inexcusable. And records show a 54-year-old man jailed in the killing of one person and wounding of 2 others during a family argument in a Las Vegas Strip hotel room has felony convictions dating to 1987 and served several years in Nevada state prisons. Billy Hemsley remained jailed today following his arrest in a southeast Las Vegas neighborhood in the Thursday evening shooting that killed a man and left 2 women wounded at the Mirage Resort. It was not immediately clear if Hemsley had an attorney. He's due in court Saturday. The shooting prompted a lockdown for more than 2 hours at the iconic casino and hotel on Las Vegas Boulevard. KVNU weather, showers and thunderstorms likely this evening. Rain showers, a chance of thunderstorms after midnight, low in the upper 50s. Rain showers and thunderstorms at times on Saturday. Cooler, high temperature in the mid-70s. It was 84 today. Weather brought to you by Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. Give Dr. Paul Danes a call at 753-HEAR or visit cachehearing.com. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
As the summer's war against weeds and pests rages on, a new bug threat starts hopping around, destroying garden plants and flowers. Luckily, you are ready for them with Logan Extermination's Perimeter Grasshopper Control. It's like a minefield for the minute menace.
Good job, men. Another bug bites the dirt. Let's regroup before the next wave hits.
They do what they are trained to do. Strike terror into termites, bash the bed bugs, and cook the cockroaches. Remember the brave men and women at Logan Extermination. Call 752-8450.
Treatment areas vary. Call for a quote today.
Hey everyone, this is your 2022 Cache County Junior Princess, Dixie Christensen. Come get your tickets for the greatest PRCA rodeo in Cache County August 10th through the 13th. You can get your tickets at IFA, the event center, and online at cachecounty.org/fair. Hope to see you at the rodeo August 10th through the 13th at 8 o'clock.
Come on out, let's have some fun at the Cache County Fair.
Talk to me.
I am ready. You are getting the new and improved me. Because if you put peace out in the world, you get peace back.
I think you might be forgetting what you do for a living. Take the gun.
Every job I do, somebody dies. I'm not that guy anymore.
Some conflicts require a gun.
Hey, this is nice.
Welcome back to the For the People Movie Show with Andy Morgan here in the studio with us. Just a bit of Brad Pitt's Bullet Train.
It's so good.
The plot of this one alone intrigues me.
It's very R-rated, so everybody knows.
Yeah.
It's got pretty much, you can check the boxes. Okay, swearing. I didn't think there wasn't any. I don't think there was any nudity, but there was a shot at the first where I was like, "Is that what I thought it was?" But it was so brief. A lot of violence. If I had to put some type of description on this, it feels a lot like in that vein of movie like Deadpool.
Oh, okay.
Where it's just
it's almost more comedy, but still violent, and
I mean the action's really cool. It's kind of like I don't know. It's like Agatha Christie, like Murder on the Orient Express on crack, like legit on steroids. Like the dial is turned to 11, and all the prissy English people are gone. It's just this bullet train in Japan, and Brad Pitt is the main character. Everything kind of orbits around him, but then you're peeling back layers as the movie progresses, almost like train cars a little bit.
When you mentioned Deadpool, this is actually directed by. Did he do Deadpool 1 or 2?
I'm not sure, but
he did one of them.
It's
Leitch.
Yeah, and it's actually
David
a lot
Leitch.
of. There's some same actors in it. Brad Pitt, obviously, like I said, he's the main one, and he's funny because he's this. You can tell he's kind of this career. I don't want to say assassin, but like guy for hire. He does jobs and things like that, and he's kind of come to this point in his life where he's looking for some zen, for some peace, and so is
that why he's in Japan?
No, he's there to do a job, and he's actually there
from his past.
He's actually there filling in for someone, which comes back later, which is really funny cameo. But yeah, he's like, "Why am I doing this?" And they're like, "Well, this guy called in sick," basically, and so he's like, "Okay." So, but he's like, no, this whole thing is like, what you put out into the world is what you bring back. And, there's not a wall between us. If there is a wall, we can find a door. We can find a window, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
he's really upset when he has to like start punching and fighting and stuff because that's not what he wants to do. He wants to have a dialogue, and
it's just not working.
He's just trying to change his ways, and then he feels like he's got a lot of bad luck, like that just follows him everywhere. And frankly, as the movie goes on, you kind of think that's the case.
He might be.
There's that group. There's that, and then there's and I can't remember all the actors' names, but there's
a really, really cool supporting cast.
It does.
Brian Henry's hilarious.
Yeah, Brian Tyler Henry's funny.
He's funny.
Him and Aaron Taylor Johnson are brothers.
Really?
Yeah. They actually call them the twins.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Which is funny. He's like, have you seen them? I don't think they're twins.
Brian Henry's like 5-something, right? And Aaron Taylor Johnson's 6-something.
Well, and Brian Tyler Henry is a black man.
Sure. And Johnson's like Irish.
You do find out that they are brothers.
That's funny.
In real, but like how it is when people think traditional brothers. The guy's like, I don't think they're brothers.
That honestly sounds.
Those guys are funny. They're another pair of hitman.
I maybe you can't talk about this without spoiling it for fans of the actor, but one of my favorite parts of the trailer and the cast list, the first time ever, at least for me, you've seen Michael Shannon not looking like an FBI agent.
Yeah, and
he's got long shaggy hair and a little goatee. It looks like, or just a mustache.
Yeah, I won't go into that because that is a little bit of a spoiler.
Is it? Okay, yeah. I was afraid it was.
No,
is he bad in anything? Have
No.
you ever seen a Michael Shannon? I mean, he's never the lead, but he's always good, right?
No, he's always good.
But he's almost always
even movies where he just
an FBI agent.
phones it in, like when he played General Zod.
Oh,
he was still good. He's still good though, right?
Oh yeah.
But you ask him, and he was like, "This is the dumbest thing I've ever made."
I didn't even memorize the script.
Yeah, he was just like so.
I forgot about
he thought all the CGI was just so stupid. I was like, "Did
It
you?"
was.
Nobody told you what you were getting into. He's like, "Wait, we're really not flying? We're not going to space?" Like, what?
I forgot about that.
He's like, I don't. Where were we going to film this? What we thought about was just putting a cape on you and shooting you into the. No stuntmen. That seems so strange when he's like, I didn't get it. I didn't like all the CGI. Like, what? You didn't read the script? Somebody's just like, hey, man, you're going to play General Zod being Superman. He's like, what do I. Okay.
So I'm going to space, huh?
Am I going to space?
No, Michael, that's not how it works post George Lucas prequels.
That's right. I thought that was funny.
Quick tangent on that. Have you watched, I think it's 6 episodes, maybe more. Have you watched Light and Magic on Disney Plus?
Yes.
The history of industrial light and magic.
That's good
Man,
stuff.
I did not expect this. Walked away from that, and I like George Lucas again. I'm not saying I've forgiven him for the prequels. That was
like everything
hubris
about
and ego right there.
I like everything about George Lucas aside from his writing.
But that's what. So in that
his story, he can create stories.
That's what
he just can't write them.
In that show. So for listeners, this is a documentary, a multi-episode documentary on the formation and growth and eventual success of industrial light and magic. So it's basically Star Wars movies for the first 3 episodes, and then they start taking on Jurassic Park, Indiana Jones, and
don't forget Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck's in there as well. George Lucas attached, but George Lucas is quoted or was interviewed a lot in this because obviously he founded the place and had the idea. But he talks a little bit about just random comments he'll make that I don't know because he says at one point, "I'm not a good writer.
I'm not a good writer.
I have good story ideas, but I'm not a good writer." And then he says later that he
but I did it anyway.
That he learned by Empire Strikes Back that he was better just kind of being there and throwing ideas out and telling people, why don't you think about it when they said no, than he was actually in the driver's seat.
So
and it's him saying that
but he's polishing his shoes when he says that, because when you get to Return of the Jedi, you still have they were like, hey, let's do the format that worked for Empire, right? We got Lawrence Kasdan writing the screenplay,
who also directs this documentary, by the way.
We have Richard Marquand, who's going to direct it, right? And George is just in the background. But there was a guy, and I cannot remember his name, who was with them kind of the whole way through Empire and through A New Hope. And they got to Return of the Jedi, and midway through, he and Lucas just could not live together, basically. And he got fired. Yeah. And that, in my opinion, it was the day they were shooting this is not a true story, but this is what I visioned in my mind. It was the day when they were like, okay, let's get everybody to Endor.
Brought the Ewoks
and then they were like, no. And then they had Lando and the Millennium Falcon, and they're like, this movie's really great so far. And then they said, And then George said, you know what would be a good idea here is if we had Lando says, I wonder why those Star Destroyers aren't attacking. And then we cut to the Star Destroyer, and the guy goes, why aren't we attacking? And the guy says, well, the Emperor has a special prize for him. And everyone said, yeah, George, why don't we stick to Larry's screenplay where people can just figure stuff out for themselves so we don't have to spoon feed them things. And that's two things happened that day. George fired that guy. He was like, okay, you're gone.
You're done.
You're gone. No ILM for you. And then George also went, someday I'm going to write my own movies, and they're going to be prequels. Everyone's going to love them.
Well, and he also says...
That's when he had his stamp minted.
In the one interview, he says... I don't remember how he puts it, but he says, when computer animation... When I saw computer animation was going to be a reality, I realized I could finally do everything.
Yeah.
That it stopped him from making the first 3 episodes. And then he pauses for a second, and then he says, and some would argue... I never should have. And
He's
really
definitely he is self-depreciating.
Yeah, that humility, I just like, okay, you know what? You were just rich enough and successful enough. You didn't really care if people liked the prequels.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
You wanted to make the movies, and you know what? More credit to you. I don't have to watch them, and
I think
I
that's
won't
why
watch Attack of the Clones.
I think that's why everyone got excited about The Force Awakens, because anyone who grew up with A New Hope, Empire, Return of the Jedi, and who was, a full-grown adult during the prequels and was like, what am I watching?
Yeah.
They wanted that. They wanted to go back. Because here's the problem I have with the prequels. If you watch those, the little behind the scenes, there's 2 things that really stood out to me on the DVDs. The first thing is...
Nothing is real.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Is you watch all the behind the scenes, deleted scenes in the original trilogy, and they're like in Norway, and they're like, yeah, it's a blizzard nobody can see, and our toes are frozen.
Yeah.
And then in this, there's like just a giant green screen, and George is like, okay, Hayden, pretend you jumped out of a car.
Just here in Marin County.
And it just doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to act in front of that. Some people do it better than others, and there are, but it's so ironic to me that while the prequels were coming out, on the other side of the coin, you had old Peter Jackson doing
sort of going
Lord of the Rings. There was like how the original Star Wars was, and those were better
actual puppets,
better movies.
Masks
and then flash forward further, and he's like, hey, you know what? Why don't I do what George Lucas did, but for The Hobbit?
Yeah.
And everyone was like, aw. And then
there's no other way to do a 25-minute barrel float.
That's right. That's right. But it
has to be computer animated.
I am excited.
Or you could cut it, Peter.
That's true. I am excited. I'm
sorry for that tangent.
No.
This
is actually a great comment because Comic-Con just finished like a week ago.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of stuff announced. You and I had talked about at the beginning of the summer, we talked about what was Marvel doing, right?
Yeah.
And one of the things that came out of Comic-Con was Marvel was like, hey, here's the layout, right? And I kind of got imbued with a sense of confidence after that. I don't know if you did.
Because I think you and I both have felt this way, that it sort of felt like they were just throwing things at a dartboard to see.
Riding their bike in circles.
Yeah, and they just toss things out. Like, here's Winter Soldier. Here's the
here's
what was it called? Where she invents her town. WandaVision. And they're just throwing these things out, and then the one that really made me think, oh, they're done. This whole cycle is over, was Doctor Strange. This last one. It was bad.
It was not a good movie. I agree. And I think...
but then Thor...
Yeah, Thor was good. Even though a lot of people didn't like it.
I thought it was excellent.
Yeah, I thought it was great. But
second only to the third one, in my mind.
But one thing I did like about that, it's going to be interesting to see what comes... So... A lot of people asked me about Comic-Con. They said, hey, wait, why wasn't there any Star Wars stuff? Why wasn't there any Indiana Jones stuff? Because Indiana Jones 5 is next summer.
People expected a big Deadpool 3 trailer and didn't get it.
Yeah, and that's Marvel, so that could have been a thing. So that just tells you that's not ready.
Yeah.
Right? But there was a lot of stuff announced in terms of dates. Fantastic Four. Some stuff we already knew, but they hadn't announced. They hadn't attached a date with it. So we got, Blade. We got Fantastic Four. Obviously, Black Panther. There's some. I've heard some rumors about that there's going to be some surprises in that lead up to. And then the biggest thing I think was that I think it's in 2024. We're getting down the road here. 2025. Phase 4 ends with the Avengers, the Kang Dynasty.
Yeah, which is going to be.
And if you haven't watched Loki, you don't know who that is. Kang the Conqueror. He's in that show. Spoiler. One other note, though, too, is if you are expecting Star Wars news, you're wanting some Indiana Jones stuff. Disney, it's called D20. I think it's D23. I think is what it is.
Their Comic-Con.
Yeah, they do it every year. And it's their Comic-Con. I get it, right? They have so many properties.
Oh yeah.
And they could have done Marvel. They could have waited
not to do this.
But I think you're going to get some Star Wars announcements. I think because that's the one thing that's kind of been languishing since Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah,
is you've got the success of The Mandalorian, you've got the success of Obi-Wan, even Boba Fett maybe, but you don't. I think people were like, well, what's going to happen with movies?
Are there going to be more?
Yeah.
Because they said they were taking a long break, right?
Well, we do
movies.
Yeah, and we do know that Taika Waititi he's going to do a Star Wars movie, so that's one. But there was this supposed Rian Johnson trilogy that he was working on that was, because Disney loved what he did with The Last Jedi, despite, all the racist fans that didn't like it.
It's still my favorite of those three.
But anyway. And then there's the whole question of Indiana Jones, because that's a huge property, and I feel like that they kind of feel like Harrison Ford's hijacked it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I get there's some fans that be like, well, no one else can play Indiana Jones except Harrison Ford. Well, he can't play it forever.
Yeah, I mean, that's... Cameo's probably okay.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
It's your movie show. I've been on this kick for watching all the like older movies. I've just been watching, I just have a kick. I'll be like, you know what? I haven't seen this in a long time. Let's watch it. So I started this by watching Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, yeah.
And then I debate all the time which is the best Indiana Jones movie. But I watched Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and I'm going to tell you right now, I have only seen that movie one time.
Yeah.
2008, I watched it in theaters, and I was very sad. But 14 years later, here in 2022,
you watched it again?
I didn't hate it.
Really?
I didn't hate it. I don't know if I'm getting soft in my old age, but I did not hate that movie.
I don't remember hating it, but I remember thinking that as a standalone, it would have been more fun than part of that franchise.
It didn't bother me. It didn't bother me this time. The aliens didn't bother me. I actually thought it was kind of cool. And even, who didn't even bother me really? Old Shia LaBeouf.
Really?
As Mutt.
That shocks
me. You know who did bother me and
I
still bothers me?
I see a clip of that one Sia video where he doesn't even talk.
I think Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom is my favorite.
A Transformer had stepped on him.
Way to go, Bumblebee. Thanks for the help.
We'll be back with more of the For the People movie show right after this.
Stop 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
It started out as free.
But then they said it would only be a few cents a day.
What you're hearing is real, and it may be happening to you.
I pay for streaming video, then the cloud storage, then streaming audio. Where does it end?
It ended up being a lot every month.
This is the sound of nickel and diming syndrome. It's a real thing.
It is a real thing.
I just want to hear my music. Is that so wrong?
There is hope. For millions of people, there's radio.
Radio?
Radio. With 0 down and 0 per month. Radio delivers all the news, music, and entertainment you want, when you want it, for free. No usernames, passwords, or Wi-Fi connections required.
Here's my card number. It's 735...
Shh. Don't speak. When you listen to local radio, you'll never need that.
This is so wonderful.
Yes, it is. The cure for nickel and diming syndrome.
Oh, I could use a hug.
It's radio. No subscription required.
Excited as I am?
By the sounds of it, no.
Welcome back to the For the People movie show. I feel bad. It was my fault. I derailed this, and now we don't have a lot of time for this Nope discussion.
You know, we could start at 6 in the morning and just keep talking until 6 p.m.
It would not really be that hard, I don't think, for us to do.
No, I will say one brief thing before I know we got to wrap up here. But the remarketing I was talking about with Nope is there's so much in the movie that are just, hidden things or little Easter eggs.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying. They have this little 30-second spot where they say, did you see everything? And it kind of flashes some things that maybe you didn't see, and then it goes, nope. And then
That's
it
actually
says,
very
see
funny.
it again in theaters.
This is, how's it doing at the box office?
It dropped pretty good the second week, but I think...
Did it?
Yeah, I don't think anybody cares. It's, it's going to make its money back. It's a great show.
Yeah.
I liked it.
It's, honestly, I think it was one of my favorites of the year, so I highly recommend it.
I agree. And Bullet Train's another good one. And if you have Hulu, Prey is worth the watch as well. I like that a lot.
Check that out. I was a Predator fan. All right. We'll be back next week with more of the For the People movie show and Andy Morgan. Dave Ramsey is next here on KVNU Logan.